welcome to another episode of the Border Hookups Go RVing.
Today we're going to be talking about some of the tips and tricks. 10 of them as a matter of fact. 10 of them as a matter of fact that we use, and some of the behind the scenes of a typical travel day for the Border Hookups. Tip number 1 is take care of all the stuff that needs to be taken care of while you're still in the place that you have been for a little while. Generally, you'll know your way around that town a little bit better. So that's when you want to wash your truck, wash your camper, fill your tires, get LP refilled, get your groceries. We like to not assume that the next place that we're going to go have all of those things. So we like to make sure all those things happen. The other thing, and this kind of ties in what Jacqueline will talk about later, is we like to fuel before we get into the campground that we're going. We like to make sure that our tank is full. And what that does is make sure that next day we're not waking up and driving around this new town trying to figure out where we are and trying to find fuel.
Number 2, if at all possible, you want to be able to dump all of your tanks. Maybe you're at a place that has full hookups and it's really easy to be able to do that. Otherwise, most campgrounds have a dump station nearby, or there might just be another area. If you're boondocking, you can find dump stations. I have an app called Dump Stations, and so you can find a dump station anywhere that you are. And so you want to do that before you're leaving for the next place. The other point I was going to make is you should fill your water, especially if you're going to be boondocking. You want to make sure you have a full tank of water.
Right.
Some people say that you shouldn't because of all the weight of the water. And there are certain trailers that aren't reinforced where the water tank is. And so we've heard of situations where the weight of it causes that to, I guess, drop. Ours is not like that, so we like to fill water as well.
Tip number 3, plan your route before you leave. There's nothing worse.
He's a huge planner. Oh my gosh. He plans weeks and weeks and months before, but I appreciate it.
I ran to the convenience store today. It took me 5 minutes, but I spent an hour and a half planning my route last night.
Probably.
Yep. I was under the blankets with my flashlight, typing in the routes to the gas station. I wasn't. But make sure you plan your routes before you leave. Know your elevations. If you're going to be going through the mountains, that will change everything. That may take longer, more fuel, things like that. Check out road construction. If you don't want to drive through cities, map out your route ahead of the time that you leave, and then have it route you around the cities. Things like know that there are gas stations where you're going. We went through South Dakota, from Minnesota to South Dakota, and it got touch and go there for a little while. We were wondering if we were going to run out of gas, and we pulled into a place at the last second.
So since that moment, we make sure that we know that there are gas stations along the way.
And also keep in mind that on that trip, there was a gas station in the middle, but it was closed. It was closed off for construction. So even if it says the next service is X amount of miles, don't always count on that gas station will be open. Word to the wise.
Number 4, make food and put drinks in a cooler. So that you have those on your travel day. So you can do that the morning of. If you're going to have time, you can do it the night before. We have a 12-volt cooler that plugs in our truck, which is awesome. And we'll just, make some food, throw in snacks, healthy snacks, because the problem is you don't want to get really hangry on the road. And then, you might bicker on on what you're doing. But no, you want to make sure you're eating healthy. And then the other thing is when you stop to get gas, pay at the pump so that you don't have to necessarily go into the gas station and see all of the chips and candy bars and things that are really bad for you. Instead, you have healthy, delicious snacks in your truck, in your cooler. The other thing is make sure your cooler is accessible so you don't have to pull off to the side of the road to get in there. And you know, you could always stop at a nice area that has a picnic table or something, and you could eat your healthy meal on the road and see some sights.
And one reason that we got the 12-volt cooler as opposed to a traditional cooler with ice is that we didn't want the potential of it spilling all over the back seat. And so with our 12-volt cooler, it's neat, it's clean, it's perfect for us. It keeps everything perfectly cold. Tip number 5 is make sure you call ahead to where you're going to stay. Don't just assume that they have your reservation because they sent you a confirmation or you talked to them on the phone a week, a day, a month, a year before. Call ahead, make sure they know you're coming. Also find out what their directions are if you arrive after hours. And sometimes the gate might be closed, and find out who to contact if you get there and you have questions. Find out if there's a gate code. We had an incident or a situation where we were staying at a Harvest Host, and we drove all the way back there, and we got back there and the site that we were supposed to be in was taken.
Yeah.
And we had confirmed with them and everything had gone down that line. So, you know, we lived and learned. We ended up driving another hour, I think, and we ended up going to another part. But make sure you call ahead. Don't ever just assume, and it'll save you hours, trust me.
Number 6, make sure that you keep your travel days to about 3 or 4 hours of traveling. And one of the reasons is because the driver is going to be fatigued. Maybe they won't make the best decisions when they're feeling fatigued. You also want to make sure that you have time to sightsee, because you might come across something really cool, and isn't this life all about the traveling, the experiences, what you're gonna see? It's not just, I wanna get from this point to that point, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, so if you can, keep them to 3 or 4 hours. And with that, you won't feel rushed. You won't feel the need to speed along just to get there. And remember, you have to set up when you get there. So you don't wanna spend the entire day traveling, and then you arrive at your site, and then it's gonna take you another 45 minutes to get everything set up.
Right.
And then you're exhausted and you don't feel like doing it.
Number 7 kind of ties back to number 6. Number 7 is that leave with plenty of time in the day so that you're not rushed at the end and you don't have to drive in the dark. Driving in the dark is not a good idea. If you don't have to drive in the dark, you have animals on the road, you have to go into these areas that you have never been before.
With a big rig.
With a big rig. So you want to make sure you leave with plenty of time so you're not rushing to get there and then you have to arrive in the dark. Keep an eye on daylight savings times too. We travel in the south in the summer. Doesn't mean that or in the winter rather, it doesn't mean that it necessarily gets dark like summertime in Minnesota. It gets dark early down here. So you want to make sure you're not arriving in the dark, not driving in the dark. So leave plenty early and you won't feel that pressure.
Even if you have to set your alarm clock and get up way earlier than you want to, it'll be worth it.
It's worth it.
Number 8, make sure you have as much packed as you possibly can the day/night before. If you can even hook up the night before, that is so helpful, because you're getting up early in the morning. You usually have a checkout time that's fairly early from your campground, and so you want to make sure that you're not rushing, because it always seems to take longer than you think to get everything packed up. And if you're rushing, you can make mistakes. We have heard of people who have pulled out with their electrical still attached to the pole. Stairs have been left down. I mean, all sorts of things can happen. So just make sure that you have plenty of time. And sometimes, you know, getting ready the night before and even hooking up the night before is the thing to do.
Number 9 is a short one. Map out some of the sites that you want to see. You know, look at the map on the way down. You may drive right by the world's largest ball of twine and not even realize it because it's right off the freeway. So kind of look at these little towns.
You don't want to miss that.
No, you do not want to miss that. look at these little towns and see what's out there. I mean, some of the coolest stuff is out there along the highway, along the freeway. So kind of do your little homework piece and map that out, and you might see some really cool stuff. The largest ball of twine is located where? Check our show notes for that. We'll put it in there.
Okay. Number 10, get off the freeway. We prefer to take the back roads and not have to drive with all of the cars on the freeway. We prefer to have the experience of the back roads.
Yeah.
We've seen some pretty cool things
Yes.
driving the back roads. Little tip, if you use RV Trip Wizard, you can put in the size of your rig, and that way it'll route you through so that you will not be going through like a tunnel or anything like that.
Bridges.
That your rig will not fit through. So if you use RV Trip Wizard, that is very, very helpful.
We should do
for
a
that.
whole episode on that. That would be cool.
We could.
We should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing about not being on the freeway is it'll keep your speed down and your fuel economy or your mileage,
Yeah.
what you get for fuel to the gallon. Oh my gosh, you don't want to be going too fast. You want to stick it out at about 60 miles per hour, and for the rest of the world, that's 100 kilometers, 60 miles.
I try to stay under 65 miles an hour, which is 104 point, without my glasses, 607 kilometers per
I don't
mile.
know. I don't know if that calculation's right.
It's right. Oh, it's right.
Because I know for a fact 60 is 100. So
But 65
is only
then
104.
104.607.
Doesn't seem right.
Do you
Just
realize
saying.
we're sitting at NORAD right now, which is a Canadian-U.S. joint effort?
Yeah.
How come we can't get along? They can get along.
I think this place is very fitting for us.
Yes.
Don't you?
Highly military.
No, because it's a joint venture
Oh.
between the two. It's really cool. And then we can like argue about which country is better. Right?
Yeah. Are they still here? Oh, hi. We're back. So those are the 10 tips.
Yes. We hope that you find them really useful, helpful. Like I said, just take your time. I think that's kind of the number one most important thing. Plan ahead and take your time.
Plan ahead, take your time, and enjoy the journey. Is that a channel we watch? Yes. It is. I'm going to get sued for copyright infringement, aren't I?
Did you think you just came up with that yourself?
No.
It was cute.
Thanks. Hey, there is a channel called Enjoy the Journey, isn't
There
there?
is.
Enjoy the Journey. Copyright infringement. I'll see you in court. You'll see me in court.
Oh boy.
It's moving day, which means travel day, which means packing everything up, getting on the road. We try to get up early on these days because there's a lot to do. And when you have a deadline to get somewhere, as well as a deadline to get out of somewhere, you have to make sure you get ahead of the curve. Hey, thanks everybody for watching another episode of the Border Hookups Go RVing. Please remember to subscribe and to ding that bell so that we can notify you as to when we have more episodes coming out.
And if you liked this episode, please give us a thumbs up and comment below if you have any additional tips or tricks, or if you just want to say hi.
And we'll see you out there.
We'll see you out there.
How's that?
I think it was fine. You want to do it
That's
again?
fine. No, I think we're good. I think that was perfect.
Okay. Well, maybe not perfect.
Maybe not perfect. You hear the helicopter coming in?
I just want to hear the trumpets again.
Wait for it. It's like Raider O'Reilly.